Good afternoon and welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all North and South Carolina students, sponsored by the Carolinas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admission Officers, or CACRAO, and StriveScan. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can utilize the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening in this particular opportunity, so be sure to check out the full schedule of events at CACRAO, CACRAO.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week on that same website, CACRAO.org. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenters so that they can begin their session.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much, Adam. My name is Adam as well, Adam Moore from the University of Mary Washington. So excited to be with you all today and give you a little bit more information about the awesome opportunities that there are for higher education in the great state of Virginia. So let's just get right into it and introduce our panelists for the day, starting with my coworker from the University of Mary Washington, Olivia Layman.
Great, thanks, Adam. Like Adam said, my name is Olivia Layman. I am the admissions counselor from Mary Washington that works with students coming from North and South Carolina, and I'm also an alumni of Mary Washington. And I just want to say thank you again so much for being here today. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of introduce Mary Washington specifically really quick, just so you kind of have an idea of where we are. Mary Washington is a public Virginia liberal arts school of about 4,000, and we really uphold our school-wide honor code, inclusion, and really emphasize academic excellence, and we're looking to kind of share that today with you a little bit. So I'll go ahead and kind of let Jeff share a little bit more about GMU and what GMU can offer and share about the state of Virginia.
Thank you so much, Olivia. My name is Marshall Adams, and I am here representing George Mason University. This is actually my 5th year in college admission, so I am very excited to be working with you all and presenting to you all here today. George Mason University is the largest institution in the state of Virginia. We are also a Tier 1 research institution, one of only roughly 130 in the entire country. So I am very excited to talk more about the opportunities that we have, not only in the state of Virginia, but also the opportunities that Mason can offer you as well. So now I'll pass it over to Catherine to tell you a little more about Radford.
Thank you, Marshall. So my name is Catherine, and I'm an admissions counselor with Radford University, and I do work with students from all of North Carolina as well as my home state of South Carolina. And I'm excited to be speaking with you all today. Radford is a public school located in Southwest Virginia, so kind of that small part at the bottom that sticks out towards Tennessee. And we are in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains, and we have just under 10,000 students. So we are a nice medium-sized school. And I'm really excited to tell you more about Radford and all that we have to offer. But I'm going to let VCU and Brandy introduce herself next.
Thank you, Catherine. Hi there. My name is Brandy Meekins. I'm your North Carolina Regional Representative for Virginia Commonwealth University, founded in 1968. With 2 campus locations in Richmond, Virginia, to include our main campus, which is Monroe Park, and MCV campus, the Medical College of Virginia, which is home to the majority of our health science programs and professional fields of study, such as our School of Medicine, School of Pharmacy, and School of Dentistry, and School of Nursing. So I can't wait to share with you our large metropolitan and urban public research institutions' efforts to create a climate of inclusion, diversity, and commitment to student success, and hopefully welcome you into our RAM family, affectionately known as our Ramily.
Fantastic. So excited to get the opportunity to kind of work with this panel and give you some more information about our fantastic institution. So let's dive right into it. You know, we talked a little bit about the universities but let's kind of dive into it a little bit more. Liv, would you love to talk a little bit more about why UMW is such a great place?
I would love to, Adam. So we can offer really a lot of different things in Mary Washington. Specifically, our location is in the historic downtown Fredericksburg. So we're about a 5-10 minute walk from that downtown, depending where you are on campus. And it's a really kind of nice college town, but you are only also about 50 miles away from both Washington, D.C. and Richmond, Virginia. So you have the nation's capital and the state's capital pretty close by to you, as well as convenient transit for kind of through the train system that we have that's also right downtown. So it's quite affordable as well for our students to go and do internships while they're studying in kind of the scenic downtown Fredericksburg. We also offer really nice kind of small class sizes. Our average is about 19 students, and we don't have any teaching assistants. So you know you're going to be building really close connections and mentorships with your professors throughout those 4 years. And those professors are going to be able to connect you professionally, as well as some of our professional resources on campus. We also have majors like historic preservation that are really hands-on programs, and that's just kind of one of the ones that we offer. But historic preservation is a really unique major where you actually get to go to historic homes, do archaeological digs if that's your focus within the program, as well as even build your own museum exhibit. If you're maybe more interested in STEM and research, we also have a partnership with the George Washington School of Medicine and Health, which is a great program if you're looking to do kind of any sort of medical school in the future, as we do have an early acceptance program through Mary Washington and through our honors college. So not to even mention all the research opportunities, but I'll go ahead and kind of turn it over to Marshall to talk a little bit about what GMU can offer in that lovely part of Virginia.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So first of all, one thing that I love about the state of Virginia, being from the Carolinas myself, is that Virginia has a world of opportunity specifically for students at the university level. So as you'll see here today, not only do we have wonderful institutions all the way from the mountains to the coast and up to DC, but we also have a world of opportunity for students to grow and learn outside of the classroom in those areas as well. Specifically, George Mason is located in Fairfax, Virginia, so we're right outside of Washington, D.C. You can actually take a short metro ride, that's our train system, right into the city. A lot of our students will actually go to class in the morning and do internships at different businesses and organizations within the city in the afternoon. We do have students that intern with the federal government as well as private business. In particular, Mason is known for a wide variety of programs. Being a state school, we offer over 80 majors, so there's a little bit of something for everybody there, including 55 accelerated master's programs. We have a strong School of Engineering. Our cybersecurity program is actually now just announced, ranked in the top 20 in the country. We have a very strong School of Business with good ties to the DC area, a School of Politics and Government. We do have a School of Nursing too, and also a School of Education. So we really do serve a lot of different areas, and we have a lot of connections in the DC area that our students can take advantage of. So what I like to say at Mason is not only are you going to leave with a wonderful degree, but you're also going to leave with a resume that backs up that degree as well. So now I will pass it over to Catherine.
Thank you, Marshall. So as I mentioned before, Radford is a nice medium-sized institution. So you're still going to get that college feel, but without that overwhelming environment. But you're also not, at a much smaller school where you still feel like you're getting that true college experience. We're nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains, as I mentioned earlier, and we're actually really close to the North Carolina border. So although we're in a much more rural area, we are really close to more urban city centers like Charlotte, or Johnson City. So if those are day trips, or if you're interested in summer internships or even just trips home, you're definitely not far away. We are a majority undergrad institution, so 90% of our students are in their first 4 years. But really what that means is that you're not going to be competing with grad students for opportunities like research or internships, or just getting to know your professors. We also have a variety of different unique academic programs. So, music therapy is definitely one that we offer, as well as social work. as an undergraduate program, a 4-year program in cybersecurity, communication sciences and disorders, which is going to set you up to do speech pathology or audiology, as well as a long history with providing the state of Virginia with teachers. We were actually originally founded in 1910 as an education school, and so it's still one of our most popular programs to date. And we also have a very predominant nursing program with an entirely healthcare focused, actually separate campus in Roanoke, Virginia, which is about 40 miles north of Radford, Virginia, where our main campus is located. And lastly, just because we know how important it is to get involved in things like research early on in your 4-year education, but we also know that as a freshman, it can be a little bit scary, as well as, you know, confusing to try to navigate how to find those opportunities. We have a whole Research Rookies program that is set up to specifically work with freshmen and sophomores to invite them to conduct research in an interest that areas them, and they partner with our faculty. And we also are very fortunate that we're able to offer a stipend for this program. So those are just a few of the different opportunities that we offer at Radford. I'm going to turn it over to Brandy, who's going to tell you about what VCU has to offer.
Thank you, Catherine. So at VCU, we have an extremely diverse student body and a campus with no boundaries, with a variety of options to experience all things VCU, such as multiple satellite campuses, to include our School of the Arts in Qatar. We want our students to be able to compete in the global world, so we have satellite campuses and study abroad opportunities, although we are considering your health and safety first because of everything that's going on in our nation and in the world. But we are ranked the top 3 of research in universities. We have a major career services department that not only schedules career fairs, graduate fairs, but also opportunities for you to have mock interviews. We even offer a suit yourself closet for students who need to piece together attire, whether it's what to tie, learn to tie a tie, or you bring a piece and we match it with other pieces. We have a personal styling assistant that will assist you in the suit yourself closet so that you can prepare for those professional settings. So we want you to be able to compete with other students from all around. We definitely have 60 different undergraduate majors. We have the #2 arts program, top 5% business school, over 150 community partnerships, which is very important because 50% of our students compete or will complete at least 2 internships, which really looks great on your resume. So you'll have a great return on your investment. That's really important. What you and your family pour into the school, you want to look at what you actually get out of it. We also offer professional schools such as medical, dental, pharmacy, and even a school of nursing, of which you can gain a seat in our guaranteed admissions program, which is a program that you'll apply through our honors college. And so guaranteed admissions mean you'll have priority and you'll have a guaranteed seat in these highly competitive medical programs that we offer through that honors college.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we've talked a lot about the academic experience at the various institutions. Let's talk a little bit about extracurriculars. You know, that's such a big part of the whole college experience. So Liv, do you want to talk about some of the great opportunities outside of the classroom with Mary Wash?
Sure. Outside of the classroom is super important, although of course we do have lots of engaging coursework. You can see the horse in this drawing class. That's actually from a class. So we try to keep even classes as fun as possible, as well as being obviously quite educational. But outside of classes, we have great traditions like Eagle Gathering, which is a event celebrating the new freshman class. Every single year, the entire freshman class is welcomed by the community by handing off a physical candle, kind of a symbolic lighting of it to kind of welcome them. But we also have more celebratory events like Devil Goat Day, which is a big carnival event that happens every single year. Sounds kind of funny, and if you want to hear more about it, definitely check out our information sessions because I'll love to talk about it at length then. But it's a great carnival and a really fun day for all students around final time in the spring. We also have over 150 student clubs and organizations. So for kind of a campus of 4,000, I mean, that's a lot to choose from. We also have, of course, those organizations spread out between different performance-based clubs, faith organizations, academic clubs, but specifically service clubs. We are a really huge service-oriented school. We have an entire office dedicated to helping students locate service opportunities, and it's kind of one of our core mottos at Mary Washington, one of our core tenets. And through all these different clubs that you have kind of in your reach, we have the ability for our students to really shape their own events and kind of shape the community how you want it. When I was a student there, I actually started an annual poetry slam, and it's still going to the same day. So that's just kind of one example. Obviously, not everybody's going to start a poetry slam, but you can bring what you want to the campus, and you will bring what you want to kind of our campus and our community at Mary Washington. And then off campus, of course, you have the opportunity to study abroad, conduct research abroad, do internships, whether that's kind of through our internship center or ones that you've located yourself. So there's no shortage of kind of things to do both on campus and off campus, kind of in our Fredericksburg area and on our Mary Washington campus. And I'm going to go ahead and let Marshall talk more about GMU.
Thank you so much. So GMU, like many schools here, has a ton to offer students on and off campus. I think one thing that's really exciting is all of our students are welcome to campus at our preamble event. And then we have an entire welcome week leading up to classes to really get you introduced to campus and everything that Mason has to offer. That includes our over 460 clubs and student organizations. We certainly have Greek life, we have cultural clubs, we have religious clubs, we have our student government clubs. We have really fun clubs like one of our gaming clubs that we have that actually hosts a regional gaming tournament on campus every single year. We have these wonderful research centers on campus that students can take advantage of. We do have a center for sustainability. We have a center for innovation and entrepreneurship. We have centers that really dive into the research part and the statistics part of our politics areas. So there's a lot that students can do on campus. We do have a lot of school spirit as well. Mason is a Division I school for athletics. We do not have a football team, but we have every other sport under the sun that you could want. We do have national champions in a couple of different sports on our campus. Very exciting because not every school can say that. So we do like to brag about that a little bit. And then we also have the #1 pep band in the nation. A few years ago, the NCAA decided to rate pep bands. I see VCU down there laughing. They have a darn good pep band too. But a few years ago, the NCAA decided to rate pep bands. We got the #1 rating in the country, and then they never rated them again. And nobody's argued to come for that spot. So we still claim that to this day. Now, really quickly, off campus, Mason, we're not located right in the middle of DC. So you're not going to walk past big congressional buildings to get to your classes. We are located in Fairfax, Virginia. So we do have a very tight-knit residential campus. A lot of our students who live off campus live right around campus within walking distance. We're right next to downtown Fairfax. So there's a lot of different restaurants and shopping and things like that that you can take advantage of within the Fairfax community. And then remember, we do have direct access to the metro so that you can get right into downtown and take advantage of everything that DC has to offer, including meeting students from other universities. There are a lot of students in the DC area, and certainly you might run into some friends down at campuses like Mary Washington as well. So now I will pass it over to Catherine, and she can talk about what Radford has to offer on and off campus as well.
Thank you, Marshall. So, you know, as we've already talked about, Radford is not up there in the northern part of Virginia or close to DC. We're much more further away, but that doesn't mean that we don't have plenty to offer on and off campus to do. It's just a different experience, right? So with being in a typical small college town, the majority of our students are very involved on campus. We do have over 300 different clubs and organizations, you know, ranging from student government to Greek life to religious organizations and more. But you know, the outside world is also your playground as well. So we have the New River, which is right off campus, and it actually, fun fact, flows backwards. So that's really awesome. There is a lake about 30 minutes away that our students often drive to. The Appalachian Trail runs right near campus. There's a national forest. So if you're at all into the outdoors, that's definitely, an option for you. You'll see this photo right here is actually a student going caving. So we have RU Outdoors, which is an organization on campus that actually plans outdoor trips like hiking, like caving, like yoga, horseback riding. So if it's something you're kind of interested in but a little bit nervous to take on by yourself, you can get your feet wet through one of their planned trips. And then if you decide that you and your friends feel comfortable enough to do something on your own, they also have equipment that you can rent, so you can go camping for the weekend or something along those lines. And then lastly, there are multiple other colleges in our surrounding area. So while Radford is a medium-sized school with just under 10,000 students, if you combine the students from other nearby institutions, you'll find that there's about 30 to 40,000 college kids in our general area. And we do have a free Radford bus that goes around not just the town of Radford, but does go to nearby cities. So you can go visit your friends at other institutions, or just make new friends at other institutions. But that's a little bit of what Radford has to offer on and off campus to do. I'm going to pass it over to VCU to tell you about what they have to offer.
Thank you, Catherine, again. So VCU has over 500 student organizations, to include student government, religious organizations, Greek life, academic clubs and organizations that host on-site and virtual fairs for you to get involved and learn those organizations, just to see what's a good fit for you, because we always want to operate on best fit. We definitely have as well Division I sports and a few national championships. We have several on-campus restaurants and local eateries, which is really awesome because we keep adding more. We have shopping centers and more in the surrounding areas as well. And you have free rides with your VCU ID with our transportation as well as the public transportation in the community. Again, you have to show your VCU ID. We have various cultural heritage months in support of our very diverse student body. So that's really important to make sure we support all students. And then if you're an outdoor person like me, we have over 500 acres of the James River Park system. So you have outdoor activities such as biking, running, and more, and even many community festivals that I attended while I was in the Virginia area. We are in the center of an urban environment, and this actually increases opportunities for internships. So we have over 150 community partnerships, and that's really important for networking and community engagement, and really, really looks good on your resume. And then, as some of my colleagues stated, we are about 2 hours away from DC and North Carolina mountains and beaches. And so you can have a lot of fun there. Like Catherine just mentioned, if you have friends and family in the area, you can visit, and it's not that far. If you want to interact with other college students, as you can see, we have so many schools in Virginia and surrounding the area that we're in. So you can always connect with others who have like minds and interested in the same things that you're interested in, and also college students, and you can just explore. Now, we also have study abroad opportunities, even though right now we want to make sure your health and safety comes first. So we are revisiting those ideas and seeing when it's going to be a good time for students to study abroad, but we encourage that because we definitely want you to compete in the global world. So there are a lot of things to do. We just encourage you to make it the best while you're there, because this is going to be your home away from home. And so it's only what you make it.
Fantastic. So let's kind of move on to our next subject and kind of cost of college. You know, this is always a hot button topic for families, and we want to make sure that we can make Virginia affordable for students. So Oliv, would you like to talk about that a little bit? And before we get going, just for reference for the panelists, we have about 10 minutes to talk about our next two topics so we can leave some time for questions. So Liv, have at it.
All right, thanks, Adam, and thanks for the time reminder. And just to touch briefly on the different scholarships that we offer, just to say most out-of-state students, if not every single out-of-state student, receives financial aid from us in some form. We do have different ways, such as merit scholarships, which are awarded specifically with your offer letter, so you don't have to do anything extra to get that scholarship. We just evaluate kind of your application and base it off of that. We also have a service-based scholarship called the Dorsey Scholarship that is really for students who are interested in service and giving back to their community in high school. And so we might think they're interested in doing that in our college community. We also have a Taking Flight Award, which is for students that complete an optional interview with us. So that is just an award for doing a virtual interview as of right now if you are a senior. So you'd be interviewing with me most likely as the North Carolina rep. So if you want to come hang out with me, definitely sign up for a virtual interview. Those are just kind of some of the ones that we offer. The most exciting juicy scholarship is our Alvey Scholarship, which is a full ride out-of-state scholarship. We do have preference for students who are women planning to major in a STEM-related field, but that's not 100% always the student that we select. And those Alvey scholars do get full tuition scholarship, room and board at Mary Washington. So that's a really excellent scholarship as well. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of let Marshall talk about some of the ways that they're planning to support students coming to Virginia.
Thank you so much, Olivia. So I like to say at Mason that we are incredibly generous with our scholarships, especially our merit scholarships. Over 90% of our out-of-state students do receive some form of merit scholarship, but the only way that we can show you how generous we can be with our scholarships is if you apply. So I will say, for the sake of every counselor up here, if you can, please do your best as a student to apply by the early action deadline at every single school so that you are in priority scholarship consideration. Again, Mason absolutely awards merit scholarships. We do award scholarships based off of the FAFSA as well. We do have individual scholarships for certain programs, for example, our Tech Talent Scholarship for some of our STEM fields. And then we do find that a lot of students are eligible for departmental scholarships after their first year. So at Mason, we like to take our scholarships and financial aid on a case-by-case basis. Remember, as your admissions counselors, reach out to us, not just me, every single one of us on this panel when you are admitted to your individual university, and you need to talk about that piece. It's a conversation we're here to have, and we're ready to advocate for you. So again, Mason, we are very generous, but if you don't apply, we can't show you how generous we can be. So now I will turn it over to Catherine and let her talk more about what Radford has to offer.
Thanks, Marshall. You made so many good points. You know, the scholarship and financial aid and affording college conversation, I often find that students wait until they've made that decision as far as where they're going to go, or it's March or it's April before they're really looking at those different options. And while I totally see where, you know, they might be coming from with that, it's very important to start that conversation much earlier and have those conversations with all of the schools that you're considering. At Radford, we have our Highlander Distinction Program, which is our merit-based scholarship program that students are automatically reviewed for just by applying. So there's no additional application, no additional information. All you have to do is complete our free application, submit your transcript, and we are test optional this year, so no test scores needed. On top of our merit-based scholarship program, we do have financial aid available through submitting the FAFSA, as well as our foundation scholarships, which do require an additional application because those do have different requirements. They might be department-based or location-based or something along those lines, but there's so many different ways that you can find money to afford that out-of-state college or just college in general. And Marshall, again, was so right when he said that we are here to advocate for you. So if you're not sure what your options are, or you're not sure that, you know, out-of-state tuition is something that you can really make work, definitely reach out to us and we can help talk through some of those different scenarios and your different options. But next, VCU is going to talk to you about how to afford out-of-state college with them.
So at VCU, we definitely offer merit-based scholarships such as presidential, provost, and dean scholarships, which actually could cover all or most of your tuition. And we are test optional, but you'll want to submit test scores to be considered for those scholarships. Approximately about 77% of VCU students receive some form of financial aid. So you definitely want to apply for FAFSA as well and just see what you're eligible for. We have a RAM Scholarship Hub, which is a centralized searchable database where students can view the many scholarship opportunities available to you and offered through our various VCU colleges, schools, and departments. So you want to check those websites out. VCU also participates in several state and federal grant programs, and to be considered for any grant at VCU, you still have to submit that FAFSA, of course. And we also have opportunities for federal work study. That's an employment and need-based program, and earnings are paid directly to students working with authorized on-campus and off-campus organizations, and you must indicate that you're interested in that area on your FAFSA. So there are just so many ways to assist you with paying for school, but I would say apply for scholarships, no matter what, internal and external.
Awesome. All right, so we'll head to our last conversation before we hit questions. We wanted to make sure we talked about diversity and how each of our campuses are really creating inclusive environments across the state of Virginia. So Olivia, would you like to talk about that with UMW?
Sure thing. So something that I want to kind of mention first is our kind of James Farmer Multicultural Center. Our James Farmer Multicultural Center, JFMC for short, was named after James Farmer, who was a civil rights leader, led the Freedom Rides, and he was also a professor at Mary Washington for a number of years. So that organization helps our campus community through diversity and anti-racism workshops. They also help our multicultural organizations plan events all across campus, and they provide both a metaphorical and kind of a physical safe space for all students, and especially marginalized students on our campus. We also have a program called STP, which is our student transition program, which specifically helps first-generation students transition into college. And that actually is a program that's a month during the summer. You come and live on campus, you take a few classes, and we cover kind of all of the cost of that. So it's really to get you connected with our campus community even before you step foot kind of with the rest of the student body. So that's just kind of some of the ways that we try to foster an inclusive and diverse campus. We, of course, if you want to look back at the history of our kind of social justice on our campus, definitely check out the Good Trouble podcast. I'll kind of link it later, but definitely a good kind of primer on kind of the history of Mary Washington diversity and inclusion as well. So go ahead, Marshall.
Thank you so much, Olivia. So in Mason, one of the things that we love to say is that diversity is not just one of our values, because diversity is who we are. It's what we do and what we practice every single day. And I don't think that's more evident than when you look at our student body and the makeup of our student body. So Mason is over 50% non-white students of color, whether they are domestic or international. I like to say that we're kind of a microcosm of the diversity that you find in the DC area. So beyond race, we have a ton of religions that are represented, a ton of cultures from around the world that are represented. We recently did a survey that reported that 1 in 3 Mason students is bilingual. So I think that really speaks to the culture and diversity that we have on our campus as well. And we're very fortunate to have all of that on campus because it enriches our experience for our students and really opens their mind to different ways of thinking, different cultures, and things like that. We also are recognized right now as the 15th most diverse university in the nation, according to the US News and Rankings. As well, because of our diversity on campus, we got a federal grant to actually open another center on campus, our Center for Racial Healing and Transformation. And then beyond that, we do have a large number of organizations that are targeted for diversity. And again, those can be religious, cultural, our military clubs. We certainly have diverse representation within our Greek life system as well. So there's a lot that goes on campus, not just through our Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Multicultural Education, but through every department that you see across our campus. And that goes back to that saying of, it's not just one of our values, diversity is who we are. So now I'll pass it over to Catherine to tell us more about what Radford has to offer in diversity.
Thanks, Marshall. So diversity is so important, and it's definitely a pillar at Radford as well. So we offer our Center for Diversity and Inclusion, which supports our different minority and LGBTQ plus students in a variety of aspects, but they also support those student organizations as well. And they have an entirely student run programming board. It's called Diversity Awareness Programming, and they plan different events or speakers on campus to promote inclusion and healing and all of that. They're actually currently planning a a march on campus. So we're very excited for that. Only over 36% of our freshmen actually come from ethnically diverse backgrounds. So we're very, very proud of that statistic right there. We have a variety of different religious organizations on campus. And then we also actually offer gender inclusive housing. So the way that our housing actually works is that you're typically paired as a roommate or a suite mate with someone of the same gender. But if you identify with a different gender than the one that you were born as, you can live in housing with your gender identity, and that is an option for you. And then lastly, just an example of one of our different organizations on campus is Spectrum, which is our LGBTQ+ organization. It was actually founded by one of our admissions counselors here at Radford, and they do a variety of different events or programming on campus. They host panels. One really cool thing that they host is a prom. So for students who weren't able to go to their prom, due to restrictions at their school, they kind of get a second chance prom where they can really truly express themselves. So it's definitely a pillar of ours and very important on Radford's campus. But I'm going to toss it over to VCU and have her talk about diversity on their campus.
Thank you, Catherine. So VCU provides a safe space for students, such as our other institutions that you've heard so far. It's a safe space for students to discuss issues related to social, cultural, and political aspects of their identities with supportive peers. We also celebrate diversity, we promote inclusion, and advocate for social justice through our Office of Multicultural Student Affairs. While serving as a resource for the entire VCU community, this office typically proudly specializes in supporting historically underrepresented groups. So we offer virtual and in-person discussion groups. We have mentorship and leadership engagement, various cultural heritage months, which is really great, especially in support of all students, since we're just such a diverse student body. We have diversity, inclusion, and social justice education. We even offer staff training for our faculty and staff so they can be more diverse in the way that they deliver instruction and services to our students. We also have a separate program called TRIO, which is a program to assist with first-generation students. And this is really important for these students and their families to navigate through the admissions and enrollment process and provide a smooth transition for the students to get you really acclimated to the college environment. So those are some of the ways that we support diversity, because we know that we have students from all around, and at VCU we have no average student.
Wonderful. So I'm going to stop sharing at the moment so we can answer some questions. And if those questions don't roll in, I'd be happy to kind of start sharing the screen. So we did have one question. We can talk about kind of the application process and application fees. So are your schools SAT choice or optional? And kind of talk about that process. So I guess, Liv, would you like to start?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Adam. I think you always let me go first, so that's great. And so we have a lot of different kind of things about applications, but the most important thing is we are a test choice school, so we have no requirement for test scores, and we've been that for a number of years. So it's not just this year because of COVID. It's been like that for several years at Mary Washington. So we do kind of consider kind of the same, the application the same, whether that's with scores or without scores. We just weigh certain things like recommendations and transcripts a little bit heavier. So we do have our application on the Common App. So if you use Common App, that's where you can find us. We do have a Mary Washington specific app floating around somewhere, but the Common application is the easiest way to go ahead and apply to us. And if you do attend any of our events or you do need a fee waiver, just again, feel free to reach out to your admissions counselor, so me, and I'm happy to give that to you if you do need it.
And likewise, I will say, very much echoing what you heard from Olivia at Mary Washington, GMU is very much the same way. We do have the Common application as well as an exclusive application on our website. There is no preference to one or the other. We do allow students to apply score optional. We have since 2009. So we do a great job of evaluating those students, not only for admission, but for scholarships to our institution as well. And if you do need any type of waiver, again, as your admissions counselor, that's where you'll want to reach out to us. We do have some very specific guidelines on our website, but if you don't feel like you fall within those guidelines or you have questions, touch base and let us know, and we'll absolutely work with you on a fee waiver.
Adam, I don't know if you want to throw up that last slide with all of our different institutions' contact information.
Absolutely.
We're just running out of time, and I
Yep.
see a couple questions. So I just want to let everybody know that if we can't get to your question, they are going to send us your questions after the fact. And so just don't worry if we don't get to you, but Radford's actually totally free to apply. So there is no application fee, no fee waiver needed. You can find us on the Common App, and you can also find our Radford application right up there on that link, radford.edu. No test scores, again, needed. You're welcome to submit them if you have them, but it will definitely not, you will not be at a disadvantage in the admissions process if you don't have them to submit. And somebody asked about how they can make their application stand out. I totally get that. You know, we all as admissions counselors get so many applications and read so many applications. You know, there's a lot of times there's letters of recommendation or personal statements. I know for Radford, that's definitely your best way to make your application stand out, is really making sure that you're submitting quality letters of recommendation as well as that personal statement. That's your best opportunity to tell us more about you and what it is that you need us to know when we're reviewing your application. VCU, do you want to talk about your application process?
Absolutely. So as well, we receive the Common App, so it's required for traditional freshman entering to complete the Common App, and we are test optional. So unless you're interested in merit-based scholarships or interested in honors college and guaranteed admissions programs to our professional schools, such as those medical programs that I mentioned, we are test optional. So if you are homeschooled and non-native English speaking, then you also have to submit your test scores. But also make sure that you allow your essay to share with us a holistic view, just so we can see who you are beyond the transcripts and the test scores. And that's really a way that you can stand out. And remember, we have no average student at VCU, so we just want to make sure we get to learn you. So that's very important. But again, complete the Common App and know that we are test optional unless you're considering scholarships.
Fantastic. So I'm actually going to, now we have a few more moments, go back to the slide right before our contact information that kind of answers a little bit about the opportunities for out-of-state students in the Commonwealth of Virginia. There is a question up as well about just if you all wanted a quick answer. Do each of your schools have a chapel on campus or areas of like that?
We don't have a chapel on our campus. We do have a number of student religious centers kind of on the street right across from campus. So it's basically on campus. I mean, it's right across the street. But we also have churches kind of around the corner, and also different kinds of religious groups and kind of organizations just in the Fredericksburg community as well, that are quite walkable. Our entire campus and kind of area is pretty walkable in general for students. So quite nearby, yeah.
Yeah, so at George Mason, you'll find resources very similar to Mary Washington as well. We do have a chapel on campus, but we do also have spaces reserved for prayer, worship, as well as meditation on our campus. We do have spaces to recognize those students. But being close to the DC area, we're connected to a lot of the national chapels and cathedrals, and there's a ton of resources for our students in that area. Regardless of what you want to practice in, there will be those resources there for you.
So similar to Olivia and Marshall and Mary Washington and Mason, we do not have a chapel on our campus, but there are a variety of different religious places of worship or houses or what have you, meeting places across the street. We do have religious-based organizations on our campus, such as Young Life or campus outreach that you can get involved in. And it's really easy to start your own club as well. So if there's not a club or an organization geared towards your specific religious affiliation, you can definitely start that on our campus. You just need a couple of friends and a faculty advisor, which sounds very daunting, but we have a whole office that will help you through that process. But we're short on time, so VCU, do you want to talk about religion on your campus?
Yes, very briefly. We have Spiritual student organizations, we have what we call the Interfaith Campus Association. So it's an affiliate organization of VCU. It's actually a nonprofit coalition of religious leaders serving VCU students, faculty, and staff, and it's organized to coordinate religious services and activities, to sponsor religious and educational programs, and to really just foster mutual support among campus ministry professionals as well as the students. So through that department, you'll be able to connect more with those of your faith as well as others.
Wonderful. Well, with that, I'm going to go right back to the slide to leave our contact information up there. Thank you all to our presenters for taking the time out of your day to give information about our various institutions in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And thank you all for joining us today to learn a little bit more about why Virginia would be a fantastic opportunity to continue your education at the undergraduate level. So I guess at this point, I'll leave it to the other Adam on this and show that final slide.
Thank you, Adam. That was a great connecting point. So this is the conclusion of this particular session. We thank you for joining us. Following you closing the window for this session, there should be a 4-question survey that will appear for you to complete. We encourage you to sign up for more sessions. The full schedule can be found at CACRAO.org, CACRAO.org. Once again, a recording of this particular session will be available, as will all sessions once they have concluded. Thank you and have a wonderful day.